The Jets enter the 2024 draft with the ultimate amount of flexibility. With strong moves made by Joe Douglas thus far via trade and free agency, the biggest holes on our team lie in offensive tackle and wide receiver depth. Ideally, I would also like to see Joe Douglas add some depth to both the running back and quarterback positions. The Jets are in a win now mode, and Joe Douglas needs to make picks with the realization that his job is on the line. While it's nice to try and plan for the future, he has to select players that give the Jets the best chance to make major strides this season and push to be a contender in the AFC. With this in mind, let's explore Joe Douglas's options with the number 10 pick, ranked from least to most likely to happen. There is a scenario where 4 or more quarterbacks are selected in the top 10 picks of the 2024 NFL Draft, and the New York Jets will not be one of those teams. With Aaron Rodgers poised to play for multiple seasons in New York, they will look to use the 10th pick to bolster the talent surrounding him and then use later picks to build for the future. While Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, and Jaden Daniels are intriguing picks, I do not expect to see their name called by the Jets. After losing Bryce Huff in free agency to the Eagles, there was a real possibility that the Jets may repeat in the 2024 draft using their first round selection to choose an edge rusher. There is some great talent at the edge position, and based on the projected rush for quarterbacks and offensive tackle, some of the edge rushers will absolutely be available at 10 for the Jets. Jared Verse out of FSU, Dallas Turner out of Alabama, and Latu from UCLA round out the top talent at edge in this year's draft. And while all 3 of them would be a welcome addition to this Jets defense, the trade for Hassan Reddick virtually eliminates the possibility that the Jets will take one of these pass rushers with the 10th overall pick. The 2024 wide receiver class is absolutely loaded with talent. There are immediate impact wide receivers that will fall to the 2nd and 3rd rounds who will be day 1 wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3s. The 2023 Jets had a serious lack of depth behind Garrett Wilson. While the Mike Williams trade will make a tremendous impact in the wide receiver room, there is still an argument to be made for using the number 10 pick on a wide receiver. The Jets' most recent pick at 10 was Garrett Wilson. Why not pick another star to pair him with? Based on the offensive tackles and quarterbacks projected in the top half of the draft, there is a real good chance the Jets could have a make or break decision between Brock Bowers and either Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, or Keon Coleman. You can never have too many weapons in the NFL. And with Mike Williams coming off an ACL, any one of these players will be poised to make a big impact for the Jets offense in 2024. Out of this group, Brock Bowers could probably be the most immediate impact for 2024, since Garrett and Williams will get the majority of the receiving targets. Bowers has the makings of becoming another Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews. Bowers is another prospect like Kyle Pitts. He's an exceptional pass catcher and he can be deployed in any receiving position, but also isn't afraid to be a major contributor to blocking in the run game. It's almost guaranteed that one of Neighbors, Coleman, or Odunze will be available at the 10th pick. Each of these guys could have major roles on the 2024 Jets offense. Especially coming off an Achilles injury, Rodgers is going to rely on players that he can trust heavily, especially early in the season. Any one of these guys have a legitimate chance to be a future 1A, 1B pairing with Garrett Wilson, similar to the success that Cincinnati has had with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But I find it hard to believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to give enough attention to a rookie wide receiver this season over our star in Garrett Wilson and a really good wide receiver too in Mike Williams. Any receiver that we bring in this season is going to have to fit a wide receiver 3 role, and I don't think using a 10th pick on a wide receiver 3 is a good use of draft capital. Based on that rationale, I think there's a real good possibility that the Jets could select Brock Bowers at 10. The offensive line has been a major issue for the Jets over the last 2 seasons. There have been constant injuries and a rotating cast of linemen. While Joe Douglas has done a great job rebuilding the line so far in this offseason, the Jets still have a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury. The number 1 priority for Joe Douglas has to be protecting Aaron Rodgers. The Jets are going to face a gauntlet of pass rushers in 2024, including TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Josh Allen, Will Anderson Jr., Nick Bosa, and Bradley Chubb twice. Tyron Smith is still a top tackle in the league, but he has only played in 30 games over the last 4 seasons. It's highly unlikely that he will play every game this season. Should he miss time, and especially extended time, the Jets need to have a starting caliber player waiting behind him. Tyron Smith is only with the Jets for 1 year, and he's the perfect player to develop our left tackle of the future behind. With the 10th pick, the Jets have the potential to either take Joe Alt out of Notre Dame, Olu Fashanu from Penn State, or Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State. Joe Alt is the consensus best player out of this group, so there's a good chance that he may not make it to 10. Fuaga is an appealing choice because of his versatility at either tackle or guard. Fashanu is incredibly intriguing because of his raw potential. He is a developmental project who has the makings to be an excellent starting tackle with the right coaching. Based on the Jets' track record of offensive line management, I have a lot of concern bringing in a developmental project. Given the Jets scenario, if Joe Alt somehow is still on the board at 10, Joe Douglas should be running that choice in. Otherwise, I believe Fuaga is the better choice over the raw prospect of Fashanu. Joe Douglas loves his draft picks. He historically stays in place or tries to move up in order to get the player that he wants. If there was ever a year to see Joe Douglas trade back, 2024 may be that year. Because of the talent in the draft, trading back and trying to recuperate a 2024 second round pick is definitely in play. The reason I love the trade back so much is because it would allow the Jets to try and patch up some of the holes remaining in the current roster. I would love a trade back to try and get a combination receiver safety or a second tier offensive lineman or receiver. The Jets truly have a lot of flexibility based on their moves so far through trade and free agency. I think a trade back allows them to truly let the board come to them and select the best player available. The biggest limiting factor may be trying to find a team that is willing to trade back with us. A trade back only makes sense if Douglas can move back into the second round. Getting a 2025 second round pick doesn't make any sense for the Jets, who are a win now team.